Hi, guys, and welcome to THFC Till I Die, your home of Tottenham, past, present, and the exciting future under somebody. Definitely not Ange Postecoglou, in my view. All these players, and welcome to me and Rebels Player Rating Show, where we go over the team today and we go over the players that played for the game today, and we give them our rating. So, Kev, how are you? Are we going to be easy on them, or are we going to be harsh on them? I think there's a couple of ones in here. But I let the people that are watching try to figure out who are the ones. But how are you, sir? And do you know, even a couple of hours after the game, you drew 1-1 with Arsenal. We drew 2-2 with Bournemouth. I called it on a fan cam. I did. We were outclassed, outfought, outthought. Would you agree with that sentiment with them three words?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at both games in contrast, and I suppose even though we drew against a so-called bigger team, both games in an effort seem to lack a bit of quality. And as you said, there are a few ones knocking about the houses in this one, and we'll definitely have a lot to get our teeth into. But look, Dermot, I suppose the good news is after next weekend's football, you don't have to worry about Tottenham spoiling weekend again till the 3rd of April.
No, we just got to worry about Ireland spoiling our weeks now. That's the worry. That is the worry. We've got a playoff game, remember. We do have playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
So we've really just gone from the frying pan right into the fire.
This is true. I wish this, it was funny actually. I did it out of habit, but I typed in Bobby's watch long, and as you know, friend of the show, Bobby is an Arsenal fan. Judas Rice scores again.
Don't talk to me about that fucker. That's a whole show in itself. I can go on. You and me could probably rant about him for the next hour. But no, we are going to cover, guys. Do just very quickly before we get into the play ratings, do hit the QR code above Kevin there. Over for Matchday Magic, where we will be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with our tactics show, and also where all the international games, all the international football talk's going to be. We're even going to go over there and have a discussion on the Premier League itself and why is the Super League will the Super League come into existence? We're going to talk everything about football. We're actually going to have a good football talk over the international break, which is something we love talking about. But let's get on with it and let's give these players a rating. Right, I have started with number one, of course, the Italian's best, Big Vic, and I thought he was outstanding today. Kept us in it on more than one occasion, was very vocal when it come to corners, very commanding of his area. Didn't let us down on one iota. Only one of the few players for me that stood up to be counted today, and that is Vicario. I have given him an 8 today. Kev, do you agree, or would you give him a different rating?
Do you know the similarities to the De Gea bailing United out season is absolutely startling, because like us and De Gea, he is Tottenham's best and most consistent player this season when he's been available. And your favourite centre-back got bailed out by him because he had an absolute calamity early doors.
Yeah, it did.
That forced Vicario into action straight out the gate. And it's a good thing that he's a top-level keeper, because he was switched on to that early danger. There are other keepers in the Premier League, and we probably will end up talking about them with Culm at some point. But if it was them that was facing that shot, it was probably 1-0.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. He was outstanding, and he was outstanding again on Thursday. One of the few players that could stand up. What did you think of his going over to the Tottenham fans on Thursday and sort of telling them keep supporting us, having to go back at some of the Spurs fans that were having to go at the team? Do you think it was needed? Is he a leader of men? Is he now starting to show he is probably a better captain than, say, Sonny?
Here's the thing with him. There are certain players that will have the license to be able to go over and do what he done, because they're bleeding for the shirt. They're doing what you as a fan of the football club expect of people that pull on the shirt. And when it comes from him, you kind of have to zip your mouth, listen, and take stock of his point of view because
Yeah,
he's earned the right to speak back to the fans. Like,
I think he has.
fair critique is always above being
Hmm.
called into question, but abuse or lack of wanting to hear the other point of view, where it's earned like it's been earned by him, definitely is he's earned his right to speak
Yeah,
back to the fans. And I suppose over the years we've seen a lot of highly vocal keepers that are
yeah.
able to command the respect. We saw it with Schmeichel, Oliver Kahn,
Hmm.
Luigi Buffon.
Pat Jennings.
Yeah, there's certain goalkeepers. Aura is a word that's used in WWE quite a
Yeah,
lot, and this guy, for the price he paid for him, is turning out to be an absolute steal.
it is. I mean, Philip said to me, Brady, when we first bought him, he reminded him of Pat Jennings. There is a bit of Pat Jennings about him. I think, maybe I'm being a bit biased, but I think there is. But look, 8 for me, absolutely outstanding again. Captain material and the leader of men. I think he should be ahead of that leadership group. I think there needs to be a new leadership group, and I think he needs to be at the head of it. Right, we're going with the foot. We're going with the back four. We're going to start with Porro. Again, I thought Porro was poor today. Do you know what I mean? He 1 or 2 crosses in, but generally the whole 90 minutes, he was poor. He was very poor, and I've given him a 4. Not good enough. Continue on from Thursday. Where are you with Porro? Do you disagree or agree?
Like Porro, I suppose I'm going to put my fantasy football hat on. He was a
Yeah.
player that was immediately in my team at the start of the season
Hmm.
because I said, you know what, Spurs will have a tricky defense. He'll provide possible assists, game chances, and he's worth his weight. But today, no, obviously I didn't see it live. I had to watch it back after. I only
Mm.
caught the second half. He was a big part of the opening goal. He got exposed on his flank quite a bit. And at times, we always have kind of a habit of talking about Trent Alexander-Ireland
Yeah.
and him getting cut out in defence and I suppose things that he's not good at.
Mm.
And I'm wondering how much of Porro's defensive part of his game relies heavily on those around him being switched on and covering his ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a question now I'm just throwing out there into the
Hmm.
THFC till I die watchers and viewers, and I would be curious what they think on that. But today, beyond doubt, I think he could even be in the range of a 3 because I suppose, again, you have to look at him in comparison to the player that stood up that we've already
Mm.
discussed. Like, you're looking at a situation where your goalkeeper is going to be your player of the month at this stage.
Yeah. I
And
think so.
if that's the case, then that automatically has to mark down every person in your outfield
Mm.
because clearly there's a problem out there if you're forcing your goalkeeper to put in player of the month level
Yeah.
performances.
So you're going for a 3. So we should
3.
mark it down to a 3.
Well, you're the boss, Dermot, but my vote is a 3.
Okay, we'll mark it down to a 3. Now, this fecker, well, he is in the press conference pre-record we're going to do afterwards, guys, as well, because he has put something out next who I rarely do have an issue with. Didn't start the game particularly well, Romero. Now, he hasn't played since the 8th of March, 8th of December, so you've got to probably bring that into your thinking. But gave the ball away quite often in the first half. Captain as well, didn't really galvanize the team when we were struggling in that first half. Maybe 5 is a bit harsh because, as I said, he hasn't played since the 8th of December, but I think Romero has been really turned by Real Madrid. And I think suddenly, it's no coincidence that he's suddenly fit. Argentina are now on the horizon. And I think I get a lot of heat for this, but I keep saying, and I will keep saying, his love for Argentina outweighs his love for his club. Now, I get that. I get South American footballers love playing for the country more. I get that. But who was the team that helped? Who was the club that helped him through his injuries? Tottenham. Who was the play? Who was around there? The players, the medical staff, everyone helping him through. Very quickly, he thanked the Argentinian medical staff for helping him get back to playing again. He didn't even thank the Tottenham medical staff. Now, as I said, that's in the press conference pre-record. We are going to talk more about that. But Romero today, not good enough. He hasn't been good enough all season. So I'm giving him a 5, and the sooner he leaves the club, the better. I don't want him wearing that shirt anymore. I used to love Romero. I really did. It was always the thing for me. It got tackled, you been Romero'd. Like going back in the day when I was a teenager, you've been tangoed. That was the thing. But for him, he always puts country first. He doesn't put club first. 5 today, not a good enough performance. He was captain as well. Didn't lead, didn't inspire, didn't do anything to lift the team in the first half. Sonny done more in the second half as captain than Romero did in the first half. Then was substituted, of course, after I think 60 or 65 minutes. Is 5 a good enough rating for him, Kev? Because he's only been back for the first time since 8 December, or am I being harsh, or am I being fair in my criticism of him?
I think you raised a good point about the South Americans and their pride in their jersey, because the Uruguayans, the Brazilians, the Argentinians, they love going out to the Copa America. You see that Messi was very upset when he started coming to the end of his international career, because wearing that jersey is their badge of honor.
Yeah.
They will die on that hill for their country. I think you're right. You have to give him some bit of leeway because of the fact that he's literally off the couch in terms of a return to football. I would be curious to deep dive the recovery and how much of an impact the Argentinian staff actually had in his recovery. Whether maybe Tottenham made the decision to let the Argies handle it because they thought, okay, they know what they're doing. But that's obviously something that we're not privy to at the moment, and I would be curious just how much they had an impact on it, and if it was in fact Tottenham's medical staff that nursed him back to health, then I think you probably have kind of surmised that he's basically just kind of walking the walk until the end of the season.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
There's also one more question on it, Kev, as well. Sorry to interrupt, but he also criticised the board early in the season. He came out against Daniel Levy and not buying plays. He did criticise the board on Argentinian TV. I think it was Argentinian TV. He criticised the Tottenham board. Is there something to that we need to look into as well? Is he becoming a bit of a problem for Tottenham?
For Tottenham, probably not, because if you were to kind of say that Romero was standing in the terraces with the rest of the brigade shouting out for Tottenham, hearing those words from his mouth is exactly what you'd want to hear, because it has been a problem that Dan Levy mightn't have gotten done what he's supposed to do, and may have, and rightfully so, have his job questioned as to whether or not he's meeting expectations for the club. So I wouldn't have any problems whatsoever with that. I suppose where it causes the problem is if it creates a divide in the dressing room, if it creates a problem for the manager to be able to pick his team and get them prepped in the right way. And I suppose there has to be a time, a place, and a methodology to anything that kind of sets the media's attention on the club. As for the 5 rating, because I am conscious that we've probably taken 15 minutes already on 2 players. I think 4 to 5 is probably fair, given the fact that he's just back off the couch. If he hadn't been just back and he had been consistently playing, a tequila -1 could have been on the cards today. But
I agree with you. I agree with that. I'm going to stick with the 5 though, but I do feel that his head's been turned. I also do feel there's more about Romero. We're going to more talk about him in the press conference as well, guys. So don't worry. I've got more to say in this. I just don't like how he's been at the moment. Danso, giving him a 7. Another good solid performance today again. We're thinking of a nickname for him. I got nicknames for all the other Tottenham. We've got Dirty Dan. We've got Dirty Danso's come up with somebody. Somebody said Dan the Man. Another one's come up and said, what was it? Dansonio. So what we're going to call him? What's his nickname? A, what's his nickname? And B, do you think 7 was a fair reflection for his performance today?
I tell you
I
what,
thought he was good.
he's relatively young still. He's a physically imposing presence on the field. Like, he's not going to back down from any player that thinks that they can mess with him. And similar to, I don't know if you saw much of the United game, Dermo, but there was a young man by the name of Heaven, which we took from Arsenal, that actually came on in the second half. And again, he looked kind of well assured with ball at feet, physical, and the two of them, I think, they're everything that a fan base likes to see.
Yeah.
So I think you're again spot on the money. Like, he battled hard. He made important interventions when he was called upon. Like, no player is going to do 100% perfect game.
No.
We're realistic here. People are human. But I suppose I'm just thinking of what the likes of Carl now and the gang are thinking sitting at home. And he's probably on the list of players that acquitted themselves the way you'd want to.
Yeah,
So
he's
7
one of
is
the
very
few
fair.
players that stood up today, that stood up to be counted. He's one of the few. So are you happy with 7?
Very happy with 7. He could even be nudging towards the 8 territory, to be fair to
Yeah,
him.
that's a very good point. Very good point. Jed Spence to round out the back 4. Jed Spence, I thought today, look, didn't have his best game, but I think as a season in a whole, I think his redemption story coming from nowhere to now being a genuine starter, I think it's remarkable within itself. I don't think he did great today. He defended well, but his forward play was good, but he lost his marker for Bournemouth, his first goal, and then he sort of checked in and checked out the game a little bit. Maybe he could be getting a little bit tired mentally and physically, but I give him a 6. I don't think he did too bad, but he could have done better, but he wasn't the worst of the worst, if you know what I mean. It was a steady Eddie performance today from him. So 6 for me. But again, I'm tipping him when we do our player of the season. He's up there for me for redemption player of the season because his redemption story is like a Rocky Balboa film from nowhere to winning the world championship. This is Jed Spence. He was nowhere at Tottenham to now being a genuine starter every game. Absolutely fantastic. But today, a steady Eddie performance, I think, for me.
Okay, here's the thing for me. Not the best game that I've watched him play, and I think that's fair to say that
Yeah, it is.
It hasn't been the best game that we've watched together with Mr. Spence involved. A 6 for me requires that he contributed something to the game. And I can't help but feel because he had an impact on both of Bournemouth's goals.
Yeah.
You have to knock him down to a 5. I don't
you know
think
what?
you can
I think that's
justify
fair.
it.
No, I think that's fair. So we're going for 5 for Spence then. So we're going to degrade him. Okay, no, that's fine. I think that's fair. I was more looking at what he's doing well, but you've put another spin on it. No, I agree with that. So 5. So just very quickly before I go into the Bentacle in the midfield, the back 5 as a whole, not solid, very disjointed, but good performances in there by some of them. Was that your overall view of the back 5?
And what I would like to add is, at times, especially in the second half now, I didn't kind of focus on this part of it when I reviewed the first half, but the attempts to play out from the back, they just were not comfortable doing it.
No.
They played into Bournemouth cul-de-sacs far too often, and better strikers might have punished you for it. So I think you have to question your manager as to why he insisted on playing out from the back, because there's very few teams that can do that effectively.
Yeah, that's true. Now we're going to the midfield. Tree Bentancur, I thought was poor today. We praised him against Man City. Kev, you and me, we give him a high mark, and we thought like Roy Keane type performances. And he is that sort of Roy Keane player. He will put that tackle in. He did do that today, but I think he was very poor today. He sort of ran around a little bit like a headless chicken. Ange said the game was chaotic. It was like a basketball game, and it needed him, I think, in the midfield to calm down the midfield, take stock of what was happening, and do what he's good at, which is calming down, balancing the midfield, and let the set up the play through him. But he didn't do that today. Got booked as well, got substituted as well. Not his best game today for Tottenham. But 4, would you be fair enough with the 4? Would you go a bit different?
I think if I'm stacking him up against the other 2 games that I've watched with you,
Yeah.
by far his worst game.
Mm.
Yellow card is a mark against you straight away for me. I think any score that I start with always goes down 1 when there's a yellow card involved. The fact that his passing was a bit lackadaisical or problematic, I think contributes to another mark off his board. So if we're saying that he didn't contribute anything to push him up from 5, and there's 2 negative factors, 3 to 4 is probably where you're at. And I suppose given the fact that he probably wasn't the worst player in the pitch, 4 is fair comment.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. So you're quite happy with 4 then. We're going to stick with that. Yeah, fair enough. Big up, Benny. You got to do better next time, Mr. Eurogrind General. I depend on you. Now, Papa Sarr, Papa Sarr, the gazelle, as I call him. He runs like a gazelle. He runs like a cheater in the middle of the jungle, trying to get his prey. Good performance.
Can I ask you something first before you do? Pass or shot?
Do you want me to be delusional, or do you want me to be sensible?
Be Dermotron.
He meant it. No, he didn't. I think it was I think he went for a cross. It's one of those shots, crosses, right? That's either he hits it and he hits it wrong. The goalkeeper's off his line, and it's just one of them. One of them that go in. We've seen them. He'll say he meant it. We don't know if he did mean it or not. We don't know, but it's still a crack and goal though. But Papa Sarr consistently is putting in some good performances this season, but he cannot play with the individual that we're going to go to next. It doesn't bring out the best in him, and he's then left with more work to do. Where when he's in the midfield with Bergville and Bentoncourt, or Bergville and Madison, the work's more balanced. The work in the midfield's more, they work together. First half, not great. Second half he really was a good performance. That's why I knocked him up to a 7. And he scored. So what do you think of his performances today? Would you agree with that? Or do you think overall it wasn't a great performance, but he gets a 7 because of the goal?
I'm kind of thinking, okay, we marked Vicario at an 8, we marked Danzo at a 7, come 8, being the standout player from the Tottenham side. And I suppose, looking at it, he didn't do anything wrong that warrants negative marking.
No.
So you're starting at your 5 straight away. He wasn't horrible overall, so that's a 6. That brings him up to 6. And then, whether he meant it or not, the goal gets him a point. So
it does. It does. So we'll go with 7. So we're happy with 7. We're happy with that. Now we get the Tequila's 1. Tequila will be happy. He's now got his 1s out. He's here. Piss poor, piss attitude, piss performance. Absolutely disgrace to the shirt. Never play for Tottenham again. Do not want to see you in the shirt. Do not want to see you on the pitch. You have let us down too many times this season, starting with the dive at Luton last year, taking helium before a start of a season, a day before, 2 days before a match. You came back and scored against Man United, and then, did all this. And, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm going to really pay everyone back. And he keeps letting us down again and again. Piss poor today. Absolutely piss poor. Hope he goes in the summer. Never want to see him again. Kev, I'm sorry. I've got nothing praise to say about Basuma. Absolutely dreadful today. He was absolute. And then he got sent off as well for giving the ball away in the midfield. And if it wasn't for Romero and Danso being near him, if he was either forward or they were forward back and he was there on his own, he would have been sent off for a goal scoring opportunity. So
my only comment
I
on this,
won a tequila. Or this is a tequila one. Tequila. This is a one.
my only comment is one's generous.
Yeah.
Next.
Another one.
Now, agreed.
No, can I just say I'm Brennan Johnson's biggest fan. I get a hell of a lot of stick for supporting Brennan Johnson because there is a player there, Kev. There is a player there. We mentioned it last week. He has a knack of being in the right place at the right time for scoring goals, for scoring tapping goals. Now, I got told today that he's not a striker. You can't make him a striker. Well, I'm sorry. Thierry Henry was a left winger, and Arsene Wenger turned him into a striker. He played on the wing for Monaco, and then when he went to Arsenal, he played on the wing for Arsenal, I think. And then Arsene Wenger came in, moved him to a central position, and the rest is history.
Dermot, you don't even have to go outside your own damn club. You had a left back by the name of GB.
Yeah, who was moved to left midfield, and the rest is history. So there's no reason why Brennan Johnson can't be moved from a winging position to be a number 9 or number 10 or number 9. There's no reason.
Can I actually just put in one point of order, actually?
Just very quickly, just for finish my point. Again, piss poor performance today by Johnson. Nothing more to say in it. One, absolutely shite. Go on.
I think it's an insult to him to be on the same score as Yves Bissouma. So for that reason only, 1.5.
Fair enough. Now we've got Dom Solanke back again from injury. Of course, did play a bit on Thursday. Got injured, got kneed in the backside. That did hurt. He did start today. He does bring a lot. He does bring a lot to the team, Kev. He does bring a lot to the game. He does a lot of work. He presses, and again, he worked hard. He did work hard today for getting no reward. But he is a striker. We paid 60 million for him to score goals. But it is his first game back from injury. So, do you give him a pass for today? He did work hard though.
Here's the thing with Dom Solanke. His petrol was obviously not fully topped up in the tank, and that's to be expected. So he does get a certain amount of leeway on that front.
Mm-hmm.
As regards 60 million to score goals, Mr. Solanke, obviously formerly of Liverpool Academy fame, was never known as the 25 goal a season striker. So, like, he has 7 goals, 3 assists, isn't it, this year for the Spurs in 19 matches.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're getting with him, if you want a striker that scores the 20 goals a season in your league campaign, forget now the extracurriculars of the cups around it, he's not your man. But if you want someone that's able to hold up possession, allow an attack to develop, provide a bit of link play, even though he might not be the final pass that leads to a goal for Tottenham, I see him more of a Bobby Firmino type than a Harry Kane type or a Mohamed Salah type. He's not going to be in the headlines with the goal creation.
So would it be more like I'm taking United into account there, it would be more like a Mark Hughes than a Brian McClare or a striker like, or he'd be a bit like a Teddy Sheringham to a Dwight York or Andy Cole type. Do you know what I mean? He's that sort of number 10 player that if you play 2 up front, he'd be the one that would do all the hard work to leave space for the number 9 to get the goals.
And he's also the type of player that if you had tired centre backs and you were springing him from the bench and you said, right, Dom, time for you to do what you do best, he would be a centre back's nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
you would not want to see him coming off the bench after getting the runaround from, we'll say, a Harry Kane for 75 minutes, and then you see this fecker coming looking at you. You're saying, seriously? Soap, get me out of here.
So, do you think 5 was fair enough, or would you mark him different?
I don't think you can mark him up or down because
No.
he did kind of express himself on the pitch, and obviously the game fitness came into account, but that's kind of understandable given you're just have coming back from an injury.
Yeah. Look, Odegaard very quickly. I thought he played well the first half. He attacked his man. He'd done everything that Brendan Johnson didn't do. He attacked his man early on. He was turning the Bournemouth fullback inside out. He was all over him. Like, then as the game went on, I think his gas run a little bit because he's only coming back from injury as well. So he's sort of starting to feel the pace. But very quickly though, 5. I think I'll go with 5 for this. But a good performance. First half good. One of the few bright spots in the first half. But he got substituted at half time. No, he didn't. No, I think he finished the game actually. Off the top of my head, can't remember. But 5 for me. Do you agree or disagree?
Here's the thing, I suppose, that we'll be watching, I suppose, long term, is that will that end product, whether it's an assist or a ball in for to create a chance, improve. Because I've seen plenty of decent looking players that have shown promise, a bit like Mr. Odegaard, in the past at United. But the end product never improved. And if your striker isn't getting the chances from your wide men, you're going to find yourself found out of favour. But I think on today's game, he did cause problems for them, but that end product has to improve.
Yeah, it does. It does. So 5 for him. And then for the substitutes, Sonny 8 scored a goal. Bergville come on. Again, impressed me again in the midfield. Van der Ven made his first appearance since the 8th of December as well, with a 6. Madison come on, did play well, got booked. Bit stupid to get booked like he did. And the doggy wasn't even long on enough to get a rating. So what would you give the subs? Do you agree with that sort of number for the subs? 7, 8, 6, 7?
Yeah, I think your ratings are fine. I just like to make a quick comment on Sonny.
Yeah.
The penalty. I have an awful gripe about that type of penalty when you're down, when you're not in the lead, when you're not comfortable. Like, I would have preferred, like, if he was going to go middle, that he absolutely shoehorned it.
Yeah.
Because you're playing with fire if you're doing a kind of a, like, it was a beautiful finish, don't get me wrong.
It was, but it was a little bit
flamboyant.
Yeah. You don't want that. You want to put your foot behind it and put it in the back of the net, like.
Exactly.
I agree with you. But look, that is the play ratings for Tottenham versus Bournemouth. We will be back, of course, with please look out for the other video, the press conference video. We are back with stuff this week. We've got coming up this week, we've got a show tomorrow night and Big Up. Tuesday, we've got a few pre-records we're going to do as well. Wednesday, I'll play the predicted lineup will be out Wednesday, of course, guys. We then got the Wednesday evening. We do have the pre-match show to our big European night. And then Thursday, we've got the watch along. We've got final score as well. And of course, player ratings and the conference and the press conference as well from me and Kev. So Kev, where can people find you very quickly, sir?
Over here in this wee corner, if you hit that little barcode, that'll take you to the channel that we'll be doing Big Up on. The Kerry_Rebel is the Twitter machine, obviously on THFC TID, and I will of course be discussing with Colm how we're going to integrate Manchester United content into the channel as well. And I think Dermo might even have a dual predicted lineup maybe on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, we're going to work something out because United are playing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the normal watching on here because Kev's going to join me for that. But we are going to do a sort of around the ground sort of special, but we are linking it also onto MUFC Spotlight because we are going to keep cover over the Man United game as well. So a lot to that coming up. We've got to discuss how we're going to do that, but logistically we will work something out. But guys, do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you can, and also watch out for the next video for the Ange Talk Spurs video as well. That'll be out later. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Come on, you Spurs. We're gonna get there. We will win the Europa League, hopefully. In the kids we trust.
Road, take me home to the place I belong. To see United.
And on that bombshell, we'll leave it there.
Eyes on the prize.